What up, everybody? And welcome back. It's Tale of the Tape, brought to you by Gym Bag Entertainment. And as always, it's your boy Craig. I'm here with my co-host.
Your overtired Octagon Oracle, Michael Johnson.
I hear that.
I'm tired, man.
I'm sorry, too.
You forgot it was Thursday.
I definitely forgot it was Thursday.
We're here.
Preparing for a show 5 minutes ahead of time, so let's see how that plays out, you know? But we're good at it, so I think we'll get it done. First off, before we even jump into any, combat sport news, condolences and to best wishes to the families of the people who were on the bridge.
Yeah, gosh. Right?
When it went down in Baltimore. That is extreme tragedy.
Crazy thing.
Can't understand it.
Still people unaccounted for, right? That's the last I read.
Yeah, so just want to acknowledge them on the show real quick. It's a terrifying thing. I'm already a little afraid of bridges as it is.
Yeah, right.
This didn't help that at all.
No.
All right, so let's jump into it. The biggest piece of news that came out today for me is Dana White announces Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chiniev in Saudi Arabia for UFC 305, I believe.
I believe it was 305.
Yeah.
I like it. If the Reaper wants to get that belt again, he's going to have to beat the young dogs. He's gone through a couple, And
Chimaev's been out so long, he's got to prove that he's up there for it anyway.
Yeah, time to fight a legend. Yeah. And I like it. Why not?
Yeah, I like it a lot. To be honest with you, I think it's a tough fight for both these guys.
Yeah.
The wrestling of Chimaev is insane.
Right.
But I think, Dricus du Plessis got some excellent wrestling, and the way he rolled through Robert Whittaker makes me fearful of that. But Robert Whittaker, I feel like he kind of turned the corner.
He's crafty, and his striking is different than what I think than what Chimaev has really seen. He's not a hard-nosed brawler. He's a smart striker.
Yes.
Takes the distance, and he could catch him with something. He does hit hard too.
Absolutely. So it's an exciting situation going on. A fight that this is the first time I feel like Chimaev is being really tested. Gilbert Burns, that was a good fight.
Right.
Welterweight, you're truly a middleweight. You haven't really had that challenge yet, and I think this. If you walk through Whittaker, then it's a short walk to
Whittaker.
Plessis.
I guess you can call him a gatekeeper, but he's a gatekeeper to the number one contender spot.
Correct. And someone who could legitimately challenge for the title.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the perennial number one contender.
Exactly. So it's exciting to see how this might play out.
I think that's actually quite impressive for Robert Whittaker to lose the belt, but stay right there at number one.
A lot of guys lose the belt and they just keep falling and falling and falling.
He's had plenty of fights since he lost his championship, and he's stayed right there.
Exactly.
I like that.
The only two people he's really lost to were the two guys who held the belt. So, that says everything. And Chimaev is the wolf. Coming for that meal. He's trying to eat, and I'm excited to see this fight.
And if he gets through Whittaker, even in a decision, I think it's title shot.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
No matter who has the title.
Right.
But with that being said, in that same division, the UFC is returning to Perth in Australia.
Yes.
They signed a multi-fight deal, and the first fight, they're looking for the headline to be a possible rematch between Izzy. Oh, no, wait, not a rematch, a possible matchup between Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis, and that's the fight everybody wants to see.
I think so. I think Israel's stock will earn him the immediate title shot upon his comeback.
Correct.
In Australia especially, you'll fill it with, Jack Della Maddalena probably be on the card. Got other guys like that,
You'll definitely have a Tai Tuivasa trying to make his comeback. A couple of the Australian guys.
I like that card. Hopefully no Volk. He still needs time off. No Volkanovski.
I would say the time frame of that fight, depending how far away it is.
It matches
who
up
he's fighting
for him to have a fight camp, but I think he needs a 6-month rest before he does any thinking about fighting.
Well,
you know,
it would be about 6 months by 305
right,
or
if he trained until then. But, you know,
I agree though. I think
he
needs,
should do nothing and sit at home for a while.
I think he needs a nice long layoff. So yeah, you're probably right though. He probably wouldn't end up on that.
But they'd be wanting to call him for it.
I mean, they're gonna call him for it, regardless.
You need the big Australian names. You might see Dan Hooker, guys like that. That's cool.
A good fight that could transpire is him and Aljamain Sterling if he wins this fight versus Calvin Kattar.
Oh yeah,
because that's not a fight that he has to worry about damage.
Right.
And if he takes out Calvin Kattar and it's obvious, like completely, like he submits him or something.
Right.
And then Volk's not the champ, so you got to go through Volk, and that kind of opens that door. I would be excited for that.
I could get down with that. It would be a different stylistic matchup than we've seen for Volk. And
correct.
Yeah, it's interesting. That is quite interesting.
It is quite interesting. So we'll see how that plays out.
So possibly we might get the Della Maddalena versus Shavkat Rakhmonov on that card.
That would be wonderful. Yeah. It could be an insane card. I always say we should be Dana White should hit us up. You know what I'm saying? We're matchmakers. All right, this one was a little funny to me. I kind of don't like when dudes do this, but GSP coming out of the woodwork, saying that he would have the advantage over Khabib and that he would win a fight against him, and it's like, bro, come on, man. Like, I don't know that you would, and I don't know that you wouldn't, but you're waiting until it's a complete impossibility to come out.
What's the point to talk about it a decade after it was a possibility or something like?
It's like.
I mean, the clear advantage that GSP would have is the size difference. We're talking about a man that probably weighed, 190 some nights in the octagon against Khabib, who's like a definite 155.
Correct.
He's a true lightweight.
He might walk around 170.
A shorter guy, you know. GSP have the striking and reach advantage, and then is the wrestling good enough to take over GSP? GSP was an MMA wrestler,
exactly.
Great wrestling. But the Dagestani stuff's a little different.
It's very different. And like, who's to say? I mean,
who's to say?
With the strength that Khabib possesses, if he went up to 170, I think it's a problem for GSP regardless.
Right.
I mean, if we're talking time machine, grab, prime GSP and prime Khabib,
right.
To be honest with you, I don't know. There was never a time where GSP had to deal with the wrestling like Khabib possesses.
That's absolutely true.
Where Khabib has fought the likes of the striking in which GSP possesses.
I agree.
Yeah,
you look at resume of who they fought. GSP obviously has the more Hall of Famers or champions under his belt. He had a longer career in general.
Yeah.
Those things are just like you said.
But then you also have to say, look at the competition in which he fought and put him up against the guys that Khabib fought, and I think 9 times out of 10, the guys that Khabib fought are going to beat the guys GSP fought just merely on the progression
evolution of talent. Absolutely. Towards the end of GSP's reign, he had a hard time with a lot of guys.
I mean, the fact that he lost to Johnny Hendricks.
Yeah, right.
So,
we never seen a split decision for Khabib.
We never even seen a loss. People argue that he lost a round versus Conor.
But like split decision win as a champion, we didn't see that from Khabib. You know what I mean? It was all finishes, so
Yeah, it's pretty tough to try to call that out. I'm not a fan of older fighters saying like, "Oh, I would have beat this person." And it's like, it's fine to believe it. And, it's cool conversation, but at the end of the day, like, come on, man. Like, you see what's going on in that octagon.
Yeah,
like
in the evolution of sports, it's like the same thing with like, Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James. Like prime for prime. Like the arguments or whatever, but I think Michael Jordan has a hard time in today's game because of evolution. Like, it's just...
And that's the thing, though.
Sports go on. I think the least of players now are better than, the guys back then.
And with basketball, I mean, like, and that's the other thing, too, is, like, time and training. Like, if you took prime GSP and brought him back even another 5 years and let him prepare for a guy like Khabib, he's gonna. And the same thing with Mike. It's gonna be one of those things.
If they had the same things at their disposal, but they didn't. They didn't. What I mean? No. He came 10 years after you, so he was more evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just fun arguments, I guess.
Here's something that came out. I read it today, and it was interesting to me because I feel like true UFC fans like us were definitely hoping it would happen, and it never did. And we kind of got a little information on that. Gina Carano talks about the fact that, I think it was actually before Ronda Rousey's first fight, they actually came to Gina Carano first. Okay. So we almost had the first women's MMA fight was actually supposed to be Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano.
Gina Carano is the real pioneer of women's MMA.
She was the most famous women's MMA fighter and considered the best. And her last fight, correct me if I'm wrong, her last fight she actually lost to Chris Cyborg.
Yes.
And that was her. So she left the fighting after that.
That was the first biggest women's MMA fight ever.
And so she said, her contract with Strikeforce was still ongoing, and her loyalty to that promotion wouldn't allow her to jump ship to the UFC. But had she been willing to, had UFC been able to work out a deal with Strikeforce, we could have had Gina versus Ronda.
Right.
And what would the results of that have been?
I mean, it would have been striker versus grappler. Carano was a Muay Thai specialist.
Yeah.
I think Ronda probably would have, gave her the headlock and gave her the judo head throw and probably got an armbar.
You think so?
Most likely. I mean, unless she ate a big shot.
I don't know how high level of a striker Gina Carano was.
It was pretty high level, but compared to, the always as the grappler, you're at a disadvantage versus the striker. But the striker who doesn't grapple is at the way worse.
Oh, so she didn't have any.
I mean, it takes too many years to catch up. To the grappler,
yeah, 100%. If you don't have any jiu-jitsu background or any type of grappling,
she did train. Yeah. She was an MMA fighter, but she was sprawl and brawl. Like she was heavy-handed and stayed on the feet.
Because, I mean, you did have when Ronda Rousey faced the two highest level strikers she ever saw, it was a problem for her. She couldn't get them down.
Right, but she also did try to grab them and was shucked off.
Yes.
Whereas Carano probably couldn't do that.
Strike her
especially in the prime, Ronda would just come in and grab you.
Yeah.
Man. She'd grab you up high.
Yeah. Right around the neck, hip toss.
And throw your judo head. You're not supposed to be able to do that in MMA, but because her judo lock, like her squeeze was so hard, you give somebody a head throw, you give up your back.
Exactly.
Or you can get rolled through and end up on your back, and that's supposed to be a no-no, but...
Yeah, but Ronda could do it. When she fought Kat Zingano,
she did it every time.
When she fought Kat Zingano, immediately
and just climbed over the arm. The hip toss was part of her armbar setup. So
that was
I don't know. I think in the prime it probably would have been the same for Carano. No offense to her. I was a fan, and she was a good striker.
Unfortunately, I never even watched highlights. I've seen her obviously in movies and stuff like that. Loved her in Deadpool. Yeah. Pretty awesome. I can't remember what it was called, but she had her own solo movie where she was like a assassin type person, like CIA agent or whatever.
That's a pretty good movie too.
Yes. And Haywire.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was pretty good.
That was a pretty good movie.
It wasn't bad.
The opening scene where they're in a restaurant and the dude's trying to tell her come back and they just go back and forth. Oh man, that was a pretty decent movie. For someone who wasn't an actress.
But she turned out to be a pretty good actor, you know? Like, we've seen her in The Mandalorian and stuff.
Man, that was an unfortunate situation. And that actually, it falls into combat sports news. She is in a lawsuit against Disney for for defamation, wrongful termination or whatever. because she hasn't been able to act since. And
I know, right? Nobody wants to give her
I
anything.
don't remember exactly what it was. Like she said
Some
something
kind of racist tweet
or
something?
derogatory tweet or something like that. It was definitely something weird and insignificant. This is, fun, I guess. Mike Perry wants Jake Paul, whether real boxing or bare knuckle.
Yeah.
He wants him, thinks that he'll make him stop fighting.
Yeah,
And
probably. I would assume.
Super interesting.
I don't
fight.
think Jake Paul could knock him out too easy. Mike Perry got to be one of the hardest guys to stop.
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a smart fight for Jake Paul because he boxes. Mike Perry boxes. Right. You get he ain't gonna do no bare knuckle. No. But if you get in the boxing ring and you put down Mike Perry, I don't care what anybody says about boxing and MMA guys, blah blah blah. You knock out, or you stop Mike Perry. Yeah, you hurt him.
I think even if you fight a close decision, lose, and you hurt him, you gain my respect.
Yeah, exactly. Like Mike Perry is a guy,
I don't think that he'll take a fight like that, though. No. That's a killer.
He definitely ain't gonna do no bare knuckle. No. I could see Jake Paul taking on the challenge of a boxing match against Mike Perry. I could see him doing that. 100% he won't go bare knuckle.
Did you see the fans that showed up at Mike Perry's house randomly?
No.
It's two teenage guys. I think they were teenagers, maybe young 20s, and they showed up at his house randomly. Super fans, just wanted to say hi.
Yeah.
Good kids. And, normally it happens a guy's probably going to bug out or maybe even call authorities, something like that. Mike goes out front and films the interaction and says what's up to him and chills with him for a little bit,
we all know Mike Perry is. I feel like Mike Perry is just like an all-around good dude.
He's not worried about nothing. Some people would be worried about their safety, not knowing
Mike Perry ain't worried about nothing.
Like, whatever.
Guys like him, Sean Strickland, they ain't worried about nothing. Jorge Masvidal, those guys don't worry about nothing. My favorite Mike Perry moment will always be when he fought. What's the tall, skinny dude, white dude with the dark hair? He beat Sage Northcutt and he beat the WWE wrestler.
Oh man. Is it Chiesa?
No, he's definitely a jiu-jitsu dude. He fought the dude from WWE. He doesn't fight in UFC anymore at all either.
He fought CM Punk.
And he fought CM Punk. He rear naked choked him immediately.
Oh, Mickey Gall.
Mickey Gall.
What?
Like he fights Mickey Gall with his girlfriend as his cornerman.
Yes.
The only cornerman. And my thing was, right, he comes in with no team.
He was in between camps, didn't even train with anybody.
Just trained himself.
He just had her holding pads.
Walking down with her.
Camp.
He walks down with her.
She's nervous and scared.
Yeah, has no idea. Mickey Gall comes in thinking he's about to take this dude out. And after the first round, Mike Perry is just sitting in his stool. His girl's just icing his back. Clearly has no business being in there.
She has no idea what to say to him. She tells him he's doing good.
Yeah. And Mickey Gall's over there like, what the? Like, you can see it in his face, like, how is this happening? Why are you winning? Why are you winning this fight with no coaching? And that will forever be the most gangster UFC moment in my in my world. That's the most gangster UFC moment. You're sitting over there with your girl with an ice pack on your back, staring at the dude you want to fight, and you're winning the fight.
Yeah,
insane.
Great character. Love Mike Perry all around.
And then to keep on that whole Jake Paul thing. Jake Paul is going to be in the near future making his PFL debut.
Yep.
Originally wanted Nate Diaz, offered up $15 million. Nate Diaz turns it down. And his next call out, not an official call out, but like
I would call that bluff if I was Nate Diaz. You're gonna offer $15 million in an MMA fight?
Yeah. And
I could choke you?
Yes. Where I could get you to the ground. I could pull guard on you and you ain't gonna do nothing. Why would you walk away from $15 million in my opinion?
I'd call that bluff. Like, it's probably, not real, but I would be like, yeah, okay.
Because you've boxed, so you know what he carries in his hands. Now, granted, different glove size, but you know what he carries, and you know your durability.
Right.
You know you can grab him.
Right.
You know you can get him to the ground. Obviously it's not at the same level. We can't take away the fact that him and his brother are both collegiate wrestlers.
Right.
So
And-
they have that.
And age difference. I mean,
Correct.
we are talking about, what, 27-year-old kid? He's
Yes.
27?
Yeah, I think he's in his 20s. He's definitely
Yeah.
in his mid to late 20s. So, I mean, that is a dangerous fight. The person he calls out, though, like, I feel like he's doing it because he thinks he's an easy dub, and maybe he might be, but he calls out Tony Ferguson.
Yeah. I don't know. I had read that Tony had just signed a whole new contract with the UFC.
I can't believe Dana White even wants to sign him to a contract.
That's crazy. That's what I thought too. I think I've read that he signed a whole nother 4-fight contract. I don't know how you get 4 fights contract on 4 losses in a row.
I don't know either.
So
To introduce guys to the UFC, you're not even a gatekeeper. Like can you fight in the UFC? If you could beat Tony Ferguson, then maybe you could probably fight. Maybe you could probably fight in the UFC.
right. Yeah, I think that would possibly go bad for Tony Ferguson in an MMA fight.
Bad, and not just bad, but bad for your
Plus,
legacy.
he's way smaller.
Yeah.
I mean, Jake Paul weighs what, like 190 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
You know?
I mean, yeah, if they're gonna, can they fight it? Can Jake Paul fight at 170? I don't know.
I don't
because Tony Ferguson, I feel like that's the max Tony
Max.
could get to is 170.
Maximum.
So
yeah. Ugh.
I mean, I feel like there's other guys you could go for, but it's a weird call out. I feel like it's just the fact that he's seen Tony Ferguson getting knocked out, that he knows he can knock him out.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
It's not the worst of his call-outs, anyways.
Definitely not the
like
worst.
somebody with some serious clout in the MMA world, still, anyways. You know.
I think anybody he fight in the PFL is a good, like, no matter who you
man,
fight in the
just fight
PFL.
somebody.
Yeah, just fight
If you fight anybody,
or Bellator.
fight anybody that even has 5 pro mixed martial arts fights. You know, but
See how that goes. So I feel like this just proves that we were right. Colby Covington turns down the offer made by Ian Gary.
Yeah.
It says, I need to climb the ranks. And it's like, bro, you fought the guys below you and lost.
Right.
You know, how you gonna climb? Who you gonna climb over?
I don't understand even what he means, because I think he's at this point like below Ian Gary and would have to climb past him.
I mean, technically, his last fight was a championship fight, so I would say he's probably a 3.
That
but
in the official rankings, he's still high, but in my eyes,
no.
Gary's surging and Covington is waning. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what fight? I mean, there's a lot of fights I would like to see against Colby Covington. Shakov Rachmanov being one of them, because I think he just dusts him.
I think he ends Covington, right?
But I think the one person who deserves to get to fight Colby, and I think could get his steam back, Gilbert Burns.
I was just thinking that too. And they had that little war, and he wanted to fight him bad. Gilbert wanted him bad. Yeah, I think that would
it'd be excellent.
Turn the corner for Gilbert. You know, because obviously he can match him with pace and cardio. Colby didn't even show that in his last fight.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I think Gilbert would take him.
I think that would be an excellent matchup.
Yeah.
You know, the real good guy versus the real bad guy.
Absolutely.
I love it so much. And then I thought this was, I would say, a humble move. Jamal Hill seeks advice from Izzy on his upcoming fight against Alex Pereira.
I mean, why not? Pereira has the upper hand in the overall matchup with Izzy. You know what I mean? But who would know his fighting style better? Mm-hmm. You know?
Who would know where his weaknesses most lie?
Absolutely. Or just even tendencies, stuff he tends to do. Yeah, I like it. Why not? You could cover every avenue, and if you're friends with the man already, they already have a personal relationship. Correct. Why not? That's smart.
It makes the most sense to me.
I would even go and see him, and train with him.
Yeah, 100%. Get some of that kickboxing in.
Yeah, who could emulate his style better than somebody who fought him 4 times?
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
Right? Did you see in that I saw earlier in their fight, Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill? I seen it was Bisping and Anthony Smith talking, and Bisping heard a rumor about a clause in the contract that Alex asked for, that if he beats Jamal Hill without getting injured, he can do a 21-day turnaround and fight at the next pay-per-view.
Yes, I did know that he wants to fight at 301.
Right.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand why.
I mean,
Like even if you knock out Jamal Hill quick, you want 1 month to prepare for Ankalaev? Like, cause that's who's next, right?
that's
like,
what. But is that who he would? Is that who he's planning on fighting?
I think that's what they were saying. Like,
See, in my head, I'm thinking like, does he want to go back down to middleweight and take that belt, or is he wanting to just keep fighting fat? Like maybe he needs money.
it could be. I mean, you never know what's going on personally with the tax stuff and the moving from country to country, or
Or they're.
I thought that was interesting. Bisping said it was a rumor, but
Yeah.
No,
but I feel like I even heard something along the lines that he wants to fight in the very next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're hearing it and I'm hearing it, there must be some truth to it. Whether he got it in the contract or he wanted it in the contract is...
Whether he was pushing for it or not.
I find it hard to believe that even if he wins that fight, he's walking away with no damage.
Yeah, no.
Like, unless you catch Jamal Hill.
He's durable as hell, though.
Yeah.
We'll see how good that power really is against a guy like Jamal Hill.
100%. And let's see how that jaw holds up against the guy. Jamal Hill ain't back. I mean, he ain't backing down.
He's got crazy knockout power too.
And we've seen Alex's jaw get tested.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. This was an interesting thing.
Okay.
I saw a video from bantamweight in the UFC, Cody Durden. He's had some fun fights, but he announced his next fight on his social. He's fighting Jonathan Martinez at UFC 303, and he said, when he announced it, he said the show is McGregor Chandler. So people are thinking he leaked it by accident, like,
Which UFC is this?
303.
303. But he's saying Jonathan Martinez.
Yes.
But Jonathan Martinez is fighting Jose Aldo.
But he said he's locked in for Martinez at 303.
Huh. That's an interesting development.
It was a video I saw, and I mean it was just a video he put on his social media story. Yeah. So who knows what that means.
He's just trying to get some clickbait.
I think possibly.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of interesting.
That is interesting
because people are paying attention to it. Macy Barber, after the fight with Caitlin Sermonara, Chukagian, she gets the win there and then spent 9 days in the hospital. They were trying to figure out why, but she had a crazy fever that spiked. It was some kind of infection. They couldn't figure it out. Ended up catching pneumonia and ended up in the hospital 9 days fighting for her life, damn near.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. Well, I know she's got to be feeling better now because she actually took shots at Erin Blanchfield, saying Erin Blanchfield is not only boring, but that she beat her leftovers to get to a title shot. Oof. I don't know exactly who Erin Blanchfield beat. I would say she isn't super exciting of a fighter.
She's got some big-time wins, though. It's a big-time matchup coming up.
100%. It's funny because that actually brings you to my next thing that I was going to ask is you got Fiora versus Blanchfield for the number one contendership.
This next main event.
But you already have Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. They're fighting for the belt as soon as the tough goes through. So does the winner of this fight?
Do you wait that
long? Or do you take on Macy Barber for the interim title? I know we don't like interim titles, but the UFC is infamous for it. And I think Macy Barber versus the winner for the interim title could be an exciting matchup. What do you think?
Oh, I like it. I kind of like the idea of Thug Rose versus Macy Barber.
I wasn't excited by Thug Rose's fight.
I don't think it was super exciting, but I think she was the clear victor. You know what I mean? Obviously, we'll talk about it when we get there. But I don't know. I think Barbara's still got some refining to do.
100%. But the only problem is she's like 5 right now.
Right.
She's listed at she's literally right underneath, I think, Fiora.
Yeah, and then I mean, Rose just only got her first flyweight win now, but so I don't.
Although some might argue, not that she won, but in her fight against Fiora, she broke her finger and couldn't throw the right hand or whatever, or couldn't throw the left, whichever it was. So she was,
and it was still a close decision.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But it's kind of nice to see that division bulking up, and we just had 2 main events in a row.
Yes.
With women's flyweights.
Yes.
I think that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. And it's exciting to see, how they'll keep developing this in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see 2 women main events in a row. Never mind 2 flyweight.
Yes.
That
so
was
it's
kind of
exciting.
Crazy. Yeah.
Any other
I just what do you think about Islam Makhachev maybe fighting Dustin Poirier for the title?
So for me, it's an exciting fight. The one thing, like I said before, is that I don't like it for Dustin, because if he takes this L, you've completely eliminated yourself from title contention in the future. Yeah. Either you gotta go up, or you become a prize fighter.
Right. I think I don't think he's got much to lose though at this point of the career. You know what I mean?
Oh, he can't hurt his legacy.
I don't think so. And I think it almost looks better for him to attempt it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And lose it. And I don't know. I think that fight looks different than the Khabib fight a little bit.
Well, he's felt the power of Khabib. He's been in there. He knows what mistakes he made. Right. Can he? Because that's the thing. You can know what mistakes you made, and you can make your adjustments. But if you get put in that position,
right, do you still end up the same?
Even if you know what you should do, will you be able to do it in that position?
I personally think that it's a risk for Islam more than anything.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's definitely a risk for him, and I think if I'm Dustin Poirier, I'm going hard on strength and conditioning.
Yeah, and I'm pushing for that fight. They're going back on the internet, but we haven't heard nothing yet.
I think Dana White's good at that, though. I think he's good at seeing the writing on the walls and what people want, and the champ wants it.
Right.
Dana White is really good at rewarding guys for taking fights they don't have to take.
Yeah.
Benoit Saint-Denis was a fight he did not have to take. He was well below him. So to take that fight and not just win, but dust him up, put him to bed, that's Dana White. That's the one thing I love about Dana White. He rewards that type of behavior. The type of guys who will get in there and fight because they want to show people they can win. And so I think Dana White will reward that with the title shot. I just think if I'm Dustin Poirier, it's about being as strong as I possibly can be.
I think for Dustin, it's kind of like nothing to lose. I don't think it hurts your legacy, like you said, and you got a shot. I think he's got a legitimate shot.
Yeah.
I like the look of that fight.
There's no fight that Dustin Poirier doesn't have a shot in.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to see it. Yeah, I want it.
It's exciting.
Yeah. That's it for me.
That's it for you. All right, let's get into these fight nights. All right, so we had Amanda Ribas versus Rose Namajunas, and we started off the fight. This was the weirdest thing to me. Muhammad Usman, brother of Kamaru Usman,
Ultimate
Fighter winner, won his last fight. Is the first fight on the main card when you have two other fighters.
First fight in the prelims, rather.
Yeah, first fight in the excuse me, I said main card. First fight in the prelims when you have other guys who are coming from later promotions who have not yet to win their first fight.
Right. Losing the Ultimate Fighter and still coming into the UFC, but they're ahead of him on the prelims.
Yeah. So to me, that's a little weird. But Muhammad Usman versus Mick Parkin, and it goes to a split decision. No, unanimous. Oh, I thought it was split. Unanimous decision in favor of Mick Parkin.
Yeah, just good footwork and good spacing by Parkin. Usman just a little rudimentary on the striking. He hit him with a good shot in the first round and hurt Parkin, but picked him apart with the calf kick. Mo got these, he got turned in knees. Both of his knees kind of turned in, and can't defend a leg kick too good and was getting his calf eaten up.
My problem with him is that I love his patience.
Right.
He's a big guys like that usually just want to swarm on you.
Right.
But the thing I don't like about him, he's slow.
Where's the explosion? Yeah. He doesn't have the explosive ability.
I don't think he is a natural fighter.
No.
I think he's a guy who's just big and strong.
He's forcing it.
Trained hard.
Yeah.
I believe he has trained hard.
He's a consummate athlete.
Yes.
So ex-football player.
Correct.
I
just don't think he is a fighter.
Yeah.
I don't believe the talent in that. I feel like, and I've heard this a lot. A lot of people say that the talent pool in Ultimate Fighter has been diminishing.
Yeah.
And it's clear cut. Contender Series is where the real fighters come from.
I agree with that. I think maybe gone are the days that we see Ultimate Fighters becoming,
champions.
Yeah.
Or even great fighters.
I mean, like you said, the contender season. Look at Jamal Hill came right from the contender.
Yeah, so, as did Sean O'Malley.
Right to the title.
So you got good names that come from a contender. I feel like the Ultimate Fighter is a reality show that allows guys who otherwise would not make it into the UFC to get an opportunity to fight in the UFC.
Yeah, and I think, they pick, after so many years of the Ultimate Fighter, they pick who will be interesting in the house.
Yeah.
Who will like to watch.
Exactly.
Whose stories we'll like to follow.
Because I can't remember the last Ultimate Fighter who was successful. The two girl, the what's her name? Who came in? Juliana.
Miller?
Yeah, Juliana Miller. She came into the UFC and just got
two
dusted.
Fight skid and got injured and is on a recovery. I'm trying to think who else won in her season.
It was. Oh no, it wasn't him. It was a guy. Oh, the Mexican dude. You said you liked him.
Oh, Tercio.
Yeah, and
he's had some fun fights, but not a great.
And
fighter.
I think he lost his first non-Ultimate Fighter fight, and I think he's lined up for a fight coming up. But it's not wielding what they used to.
Right. We don't. Like I said, gone are the days that where you get a Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
From the Ultimate Fighter.
Exactly.
And coming straight to the title and being the greatest welterweight champion. You know what I mean? Of our era.
It's pretty crazy.
I don't think we have that anymore.
I don't want the Ultimate Fighter to stop. Gone are the days that great fighters are coming through it. They're coming through the Contender Series now.
I think the Ultimate Fighter is about stories and just,
just trying to catch those reality TV people. The reality TV fans need a place to join MMA, and that's the place to do it.
I like to get behind these guys when you hear their stories from back, where they live and they're poor and they're trying to make it. And it's hard not to get behind that.
Exactly. It's good to hear those type of stories and see these fighters really scrapping for it. Yeah. And, hey, man, they're going in there and they're doing their thing. It's just, and then you have the guys, coming up that just, even on this card, that are guys that, were in the UFC. Then they left it, and then they got cut, and there was a reason why they got cut, and they proved it in these later fights.
Yeah, and here we see in this prelims, we see two guys from the recent Ultimate Fighter, but we haven't seen the winner of that Ultimate Fighter since he won, Brad Katona.
Yeah, he had the one fight. I know he fought one, after winning the Ultimate Fighter, he had one fight. It was a couple months ago.
But I think so did they.
Yeah.
Gibson and Holloway has fought since then, I think, too.
Oh, have they? Oh, I didn't think they fought since the Ultimate Fighter.
I believe so. I saw a Gibson fight. Yeah, I think he got a win after losing to Katona.
Really? Yeah. Oh, okay. I must have missed it.
And Holloway won that night, too, on the Ultimate Fighter card. Yeah. But
yeah. We'll see how it goes from here on in the future. Then we have Montserrat Rendon versus Daria. I'm not even going to attempt it. This was also a unanimous decision for Daria.
It was Jelezikova. Zeleznikova. Yeah, that's what it is.
I definitely couldn't have said that.
Striker versus grappler. Rendon, all grappling though, just jiu-jitsu, bad wrestling.
Yeah.
Zeleznikova, all boxing, not even really kicks. Slow, prodding fight. Lots of head clashes from them coming together. There's a lot of damage even on Zelezhnikova's face.
Yes, I saw the end of the fight when she got the decision.
But she didn't take a lot of shots.
but am I wrong? Because I remember Rendon, she got the first round. Did she not?
She did. She got her down in the first round, but then she was gassed after that and couldn't close the distance.
Okay. Because when I saw the decision, I thought that the other girl was winning, but I got distracted during that fight, so I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, it wasn't anything special.
All right, and then we have Jarno Aarons versus Steven Nagin, and this was also a decision.
This fight, on the other hand, was
fight of the night.
Great. Aarons versus Nguyen. Yeah, Aarons with some great combinations. He was the faster fighter. He mixed it up better, is what got him the win, I think. Nguyen showed great hands and toughness, but the leg damage by the end of the fight was way too much. And yeah, he just couldn't match how Aarons was mixing it up. That was a fun fight, though.
Yeah, I remember it being a good fight, not enough to try to speak on it. Miles Johns versus Cody Gibson, and this is Cody Gibson, one of the Ultimate Fighter losers, and he takes an L in a unanimous decision to Miles John.
Yeah, bantamweight fight. Miles Johns a good fighter there. Needs to improve his gas tank still. Johns with the better striking and good enough energy to out-wrestle Gibson.
Yes.
Just enough.
I mean, he was, exactly. Pressing him against the fence. He was definitely winning the exchanges.
But then by round 3, he's chugging air. Johns had just enough energy to get a unanimous decision.
100%. Yeah. might have seen the last of Gibson once again.
Yeah.
Because he did. I don't think he looked good at all in this fight.
No.
And it's not like Miles Johns
couldn't close the distance. Couldn't wrestle with Johns. Yeah, he didn't look good.
This was an awesome turn of events.
Yes.
Ricardo Ramos facing Julian Arosa, another Ultimate Fighter alum, and early submission in the first round from Arosa.
Great fight. This was my pick of the prelims from last week. I knew that it was going to be high pace. Ramos hurt him badly early with the punch, and then Arosa, trying to stay with it, ends up jumping guillotine because Ramos shoots in for a takedown.
Yes.
Locks it in and taps him out 2 minutes in.
What I love is it was a good level change takedown after rocking him, but just immediately into the guillotine. And then the best part is you actually submitted yourself more because he stood up, which caused more pressure on the neck.
It was a reckless shot too, head on the outside.
Yeah.
It was only because he had him hurt, but
Yeah. And when you got a guy hurt like that, going to the ground seems like...
Just keep punching.
Just swing on him. You had him. All right, and then the main event of the prelims, one of the winners of the last Ultimate Fighter, Kurt Hollabart versus Trey Ogden.
Trey Ogden, I believe, was the coach of...
Yes.
Of Aarons, maybe? Jarno Aarons? He was out there a couple fights before as the coach.
He was the coach, correct.
And... great showing by him, honestly. Top Control was the name of the game. He kept him away with the striking.
Yep.
But Top Control and good enough ground and pound just grinded him out. It was a grinding fight. Tough one for Hollabart. That's got to be so tough to lose like that. You're just getting grinded out.
Yeah.
Got no answer for it. Nothing to do.
And as a guy who was cut from the UFC, your first or second official fight in the UFC after Ultimate Fighter, and you get beat, it doesn't spell longevity. Right. So we'll see what happens with him. Then we have performance of the night: Fernando Padilla versus Luis Puello.
We can't get to the main card without talking about the bite of the night.
Yes. Wait. Did we get
Igor da Silva Severino versus Andre Lima in the men's flyweight division?
Did we miss that?
That was in the prelims.
I thought that was last week.
No, but the bite was...
Oh, wait, no. It was that Andre De Lima?
Andre De Lima versus...
Oh, that was the second fight.
Igor da Silva.
That was the second fight, and I passed it by accident. Oh, my God. Bite of the night.
Well, that's all right, because that needs more attention than any of the other preliminary fights.
Yeah, so let's hit that. Igor De Silverino versus Andre Lima in the bite of the night fight.
Crazy. He actually got a bonus for the bite.
Well, he got a $25,000 bonus, and then when Dana White saw him get the bite actually tattooed on his arm, he gave him another $25,000.
Crazy. So yeah, he got bit in the second round.
Second round.
Good competitive fight until then.
Extremely competitive
Super
fight.
fun. Scrambles all crazy. Both landing hard shots. He hurt Severino. I think Lima was getting the best of it.
I would say that's true.
He was landing the better shots.
And both undefeated fighters making their debut into the UFC.
He had Severino wobbled a little bit, and then weird. And De Lima was definitely grabbing the fence a bit, and people were complaining. The ref was about to take a point, and they're in a position where De Silva is behind him, pushing him to the fence.
Yeah.
De Silva's face is buried on his tricep, and you see Andre Lima react, and then he goes to take him down. He grabbed the fence, and it looked purposeful that time.
Yeah.
The ref stops the fight. He shows him his tricep, and the craziest thing that I've seen in mixed martial arts, kinda.
It was insane. I had a small theory at one point. I know I told you is the bite was so small. It was like literally, it wasn't wide enough for a full bite. And I think what could have happened, and if this is what happened, I feel bad for Igor because it could have been inadvertent. I think there's a possibility his mouthpiece dropped out of his mouth, and when he went to go bite it down, he was already pressed against the dude's arm, and it bit and then went through. I don't think he re-released and closed his mouth. I think he bit until it slid through.
Yeah.
The problem I have with that is the bite lasted so long.
And when you see the positioning, you see you don't see the mouthpiece falling at all. It doesn't look so much like he's pushing to get the mouthpiece back in. It looks like he's pushing to get a piece of him. To get his teeth in there. I'd never seen the mouthpiece come out, so I don't know how he got
the bite
on so good. And I think maybe that talks to what you said about how it being so small of an area. And I think he just pushed his teeth past maybe his mouth guard.
Maybe
he must have kept his mouth guard in
or bit through it.
Right. Was his mouth guard broken? Did he bite through it? Because I don't understand, with what you said, yes, maybe his mouth guard's falling out. He uses his opponent's arm to push it back in, but how can you not tell it's flesh in your mouth?
In your mouth.
Compared to a mouth guard. You know what I mean? They feel nothing alike.
Nothing alike. Well, I don't think that he confused it. I don't think it came out. I think it came down.
Yeah.
And when he went to go bite down, he bit on the dude's arm and then pulled away.
Because it's a severe bite.
It's a severe bite. That's why I have a hard time believing that that's the case.
Because he had to bite hard to get that mark.
And Dana White not at the apex.
It's hard to be understanding of
that. As soon as he hears about the bite, immediately severs ties with Igor. Yeah. He is now no longer a fighter in the UFC.
Prospect too. You know?
I find it hard to believe that any fight promotion will give him another chance. Wow, so he's probably going to end up fighting in super low circuits. Maybe he gets brought in by bare knuckle or.
It's a shame.
Yeah,
super young kid. Big mistake. I don't know. Maybe we'll hear more about it. Maybe we'll get an explanation from him because we haven't now. I think they're kind of just blacklisting him.
If I'm him, there's only one option in my mind.
What?
Dig in. Own it. And
what? I bit him.
So what? I bite people.
I bite people. He was grabbing the fence all them times, so I bit him.
You know?
That's what Mike did. He was like, Evander was headbutting me mad times, so I bit him.
So I mean, I feel like you gotta lean in and just play that role. And maybe another promotion will bring you on. You get some more wins under your belt. You ain't never gonna be in the UFC ever again. But maybe you can make it to the PFL. Maybe you can make it to bare knuckle or bare knuckle MMA.
Crazy tournament events.
Yeah, crazy.
It's a shame all around.
All right, let's jump into performance of the night.
Disqualification overall, though. I don't think we pointed that out.
No,
but
yeah,
Andre
definitely.
Lima with the win, disqualification. Yeah.
So performance of the night, Fernando Padilla versus Luis Pajejo.
Oh, man. Crazy high-pace fight. He got hurt with the left hand early, and then it finishes him with the standing Darce choke.
Yeah. Tough.
But, I mean, he was throwing everything at him. Spinning kicks, side kicks. Like, I like that kid, Padilla, and I want to see what's in store for him going forward.
Yeah.
You know, very long, super long for that weight class, you know. It's exciting.
All right, and then we have in the featherweight division, Billy Quarantillo welcoming back to the UFC a fighter I liked a lot, Yusuf Zalal.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen Zalal since Topuria beat him unanimous decision.
Correct.
Way back.
Way back.
Yeah, didn't get knocked out by Topuria, though. Keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Dominant round one for Zalal. Almost finished him then, but then picked it up right where he left off in the second round. Gets the
rear naked
choke. Yeah.
Beautiful performance. And then we got to talk about this guy. He seems like he is going to be the next big thing. Performance of the night, Peyton Talbot versus Cameron Samian.
Young killer here, just coming straight forward.
Oh, all day.
Great timing.
Landing such aloof strikes.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take anything from Cameron Simon, but Talbot had no respect for him.
None.
Walked him down. Simon
but can we say Simon? Can we say Simon? Super durable dude.
Super durable, and came back and landed some good stuff. But he hurt him with that big knee early in the round, and then hits him with everything.
Everything.
You know, and landed everything.
And I will say this. I don't know about you, but in Saman's defense as well, not defense, but to his credit, not only was he landing some good strikes, there was a couple moments where I thought he was going to knock him out because the dude wasn't caring.
And he came back. Like he fully recovered.
Yes.
What's it called? Round 2, though. Yeah, they make it into the second round. He survives round 1. Hits him with a jab to start the round, knocks him down, and finishes him with ground and pound.
Yes.
You know, I think he took too much damage in the first round.
This is an exciting fighter. You got to lock it down, though.
He had the killer face on, too.
Yeah.
You know, like...
I understand maybe the competition was a little too
low.
Bit, just a little bit.
You know?
Because you know what he's almost reminding me of?
He left himself open, you know, with a little bit of cockiness.
Who's that? He's like an Asian fighter. He always got that cocky look on his face. He's a bantamweight. He has like a strong name. I don't want to waste time. We don't have enough of it. So we'll go with Edmund Sabajian versus AJ Dodson, and this was a great turn of events as well.
Another great fight. We thought AJ Dobson, if he had a shot against Shabazian, it would be taking him down, but he wobbles him early with fast punches.
Yeah.
I believe it was a left hand in there, but it was straight punches from Dobson. Then Shabazian turns the corner, though, with the big power, lands a left hook at the end of a combo, drops him, finishes him off. You know, good to see Shabazian back.
Absolutely, and getting a dub. Heavyweight bout: Carl Williams versus Justin Tafa, and filling in for his brother.
Yeah,
and pretty much same results.
Yeah, out wrestled. Carl Williams a little scared of Tafa's power, justly so. Takes him down. Lands some good strikes, too. Carl Williams a small heavyweight, so pretty good showing against a huge guy like Tafa, you know. I thought it was good. Unanimous decision for Williams.
And then in the main event, Amanda Ribas versus Thug Rose Namajunas, and Thug Rose walks away with, was it a split or unanimous?
It was unanimous.
Unanimous decision.
49-46 twice and 48-47. So that one judge gave Ribas 2 rounds. I gave her at least 1.
Yeah.
At least round 3, I'd say, went Ribas's way. She stayed busy the whole fight, like she always does. But
kept the pressure on.
Rose managed the distance good. And she managed Ribas's rhythm.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And just was catching her at the end of her
Ribas did look good. She was never out of that fight.
No, she wasn't. Landed some good spinning kicks.
But Rose is a technician.
I think she looked best in that third round when she was getting that groundwork in.
Yeah.
She was close to what looked like maybe a submission for a minute.
For a minute.
Yeah. But, Rose was methodical. One strike at a time, though, kind of.
One strike at a time. So we'll see if this propels her into title contention. Does she need one more? Is it her and Macy Barber for a chance to fight for the number one contendership?
I think she'd be hard for Macy to hit. You know? And
very
then
much so.
Rose, Macy got the better wrestling, but Rose got the jiu-jitsu.
And Rose is stronger than she looks.
Interesting fight.
Yes.
Yeah, super interesting.
Real quick before we get out next week, Blanchfield versus Fiora for the number one contendership. And then couple fights of note, Vicente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley for the co-main event.
Yes, big time.
Chris Weidman trying to take one more shot at it versus Bruno Silva.
Against a big leg kicker, too.
And do we have any...
I like Nate the Train Landwehr and Jamal Emmers on the prelims, big time.
That's a good one. And what is it? Verna Jaradova.
John G. Doba with the wide eyes.
Versus Ganiza.
Yeah.
Canitez.
Blanchfield, 6 wins in the UFC in a row. Her last 2 fights, Jessica Andrade and Tyler Santos, W's. Fiora, 6 wins in the UFC. Her last 2 wins for Caitlin Sermonara and Thug Rose. This is definitely number one contender fight.
This is definitely number one contender fight. So we're excited to see how that plays out. So until next week, we'll see you, and you have a good night.
Peace.